بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Reflections on the Holy Quran, a broadcast of the Lahore Ahmadiyya community. Today it is Monday, the 16th of August 2021, and we're going to look at chapter 2, verse 90. This program should have been broadcast on the 9th of August, but due to some technical difficulties, we had to postpone our broadcasts. Just to remind you that Lahore Ahmadiyya community was created by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who taught us that although others bring a prophet after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, but we believe that the Quran says the Holy Prophet was Khatmun Nabiyyin, and he said La Nabi Abadi. So no prophet, old or new, shall come after the Holy Prophet Muhammad. And for reformation of the Ummah, Mujaddideens will be sent by Allah, and they will clear the incorrect interpretations and other things which have crept into Muslims and their practice of Islam. And although there may be disagreements because of this, the Holy Prophet had said that if one reciter of the Kalima says to another reciter of the Kalima, you are not a Muslim, then it is the person saying it who is closer to being a heretic. And Hazrat Sahib also taught us that although others say that Surah Rajam and Ayah Rajam and Surah Walayat are missing from the Holy Quran, nothing is missing from the Holy Quran. All prophetic revelation is in it, and that although others believe that some verses of the Holy Quran are abrogated, this is incorrect. And of course, lastly, that jihad is a fundamental duty of every single Muslim. It has to be conducted. But jihad as defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, who while returning from a battle said that Muslims were returning from the minor jihad to the major jihad. And then went on to explain that the major jihad is the struggle to control your own desires, your own selves. And with that, let us turn to our jihad, which is to try and understand the Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بئس ما اشتروا به أنفسهم أن يكفروا بما أنزل الله بغيا أن ينزل الله من فضله على من يشاء من عباده فباءوا بغضب على غضب وللكافرين عذاب مهين. Evil is that for which they sell their souls, that they should deny that which Allah has revealed out of envy, that Allah should send down of His grace on whomsoever of His servants He pleases. So they incur wrath upon wrath, and there is an abasing chastisement for the disbelievers. Today we are going to start with the word Faba'u, and then we are going to look at the word Baghadin. Then we have Allah, which is simply a connecting word. Ghadabin, well, it's from, we would have just done that. Walil Kafirina was a connecting word, and Lil Kafirin, we did that when looking at the last verse, which ends Alal Kafirin. Azabun, and Azab we will do, and Muheen we will do. So I hope we'll be able to cover four words, these 4 words. So let us see. Let us see, where are we? I have so many windows open that I'm lost. Okay. The first word, it has 3 segments. For, which means and then the word we're looking at, Ba'u, and then Ba at the end. So the root of what we are going to look at is Ba, Va, and Hamza. And as I said, it has 3 segments, and it occurs in the Holy Quran. How many times? 17 times, with 4 different meanings. And 6 times Ba, and again 6 times Babba, and 4 times as Yatabawwaw, and then once as Mubawwa. And its meaning is to turn back, to incur, to earn, or to even to settle down. Now, and the form Mubawwa Sidq, it means settlement. So settle can be physically settling, or it can be, settling the score, so to speak, as they say in English. And As I said, its sort of basic meaning is to return, to turn back, to admit, to accept. Also means to carry a load, um, etc. And basically, the sense would be to deserve or earn. So, as I said, in this verse here, where are we? Chapter 90. And so they incur, so they've earned wrath, Allah's wrath. So, because of what they've done, what have they done? They've rejected God's grace, God's blessing, which was God's revelation to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, because they didn't want, they couldn't see how prophethood would go out of the Israelites into Ishmaelites. And it literally also can mean a suitable place for settling, or making a place suitable for settling. In those days, as you know, people sort of traveled in the desert and so on, and they had tents and things, and at night they would pitch tent. So obviously you can't pitch a tent just anywhere. It may be that you have to prepare a place, and then you set your tent there, so it's a suitable place. And we have in the Holy Quran about how the Holy Prophet Abraham settled Makkah and Kaaba in particular as the place for his family. And the same word is used to indicate that, Hazrat Ibrahim's wife and child could live there and survive. So the next word I said is bighadabin. So if you go to bighadabin, we find that it has two segments. One is bi, which means by or with, and then ghadab, ghain, dad, ba. And it occurs in the Holy Quran 24 times with 5 different meanings, or 5 different shapes. So one of them is where it occurs 14 times, is ghadab, and then 6 times as ghadiba, and then twice as ghadban, and then maghdub. We are all aware of maghdub from Surah Fatiha, maghdubi alayhim, and then mughadib. So in form 1, where it occurs 6 times, ghadiba, so it means God's anger or his wrath. Waghadi ballahu alayhi. وَلَعَنَهُ, and God's wrath will fall on them. وَغَضِبَ عَلَيْهِ, and God will become angry with them. And as a noun, anger, in chapter 2, verse 61, we saw بِغَضَبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ, Allah's wrath. Here, Allah غَضَبٍ وَلِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. That is, again, God's anger, his wrath, and so on. Now, literally, it means that your heart boils over with anger to take revenge. And this is why the Holy Prophet said that a true believer should avoid becoming angry, because anger is like a burning coal, a burning fire in a person's heart, and your veins swell up and your eyes become red, and so on. But God doesn't want to take revenge. If he wanted to, he would have stopped all oxygen, all clean air. He hasn't done it, we've done it. He would have stopped rain, he would have stopped clean water. Okay, so you don't believe me, believe in me, God would say. Okay, let's see. Turn off water and air. See if you believe in me now. But he doesn't do that. But then at the same time, what you have to say is there has to be a distinction between people who obey God's laws and those who don't. And those who don't need to suffer the consequences of not doing it. Otherwise, it'll be unjust. So this is, although people talk about, God becoming angry and someone, he doesn't need to become angry. Why does he want to be angry? But it means that that his punishment, his justice will fall upon you. And it also stands for, because of, in English and other languages, we have proverbs like, gone red with anger and all this kind of thing, and etc. So because of that, it also applies to something that is dark red. But Ibn Faris said that it actually signifies excessive power in something. So this, your heart boiling over to take revenge for something or other, your heart is boiling over. So it applies to that as well. But basically what you remember is there are two states of a human being. His psychology, his soul, whatever you want to call it. And one is granted Nemat, which is God's blessing. So if you obey God's laws, you get a Nemat. What is Nemat? You get God's blessings. And if you don't obey God's laws, then what you get is Ghadab Allah. That is the consequence of rebellion, denial of his laws. So basically, another way to look at that is that one person gets named because he obeys. That's the consequence of obedience of God's laws. And the other person incurs, earns a ghadab, which is the result of disobeying God's laws. And this can, happen to individuals, and it can happen to nations. Not can, it does. I mean, there was an incident where the head of government of a country went to another place, and the people there basically, despite all the rules about the treatment of heads of government and so on, the customs officials and so on insisted on treating him basically like any other passenger, and going through his luggage and all this kind of thing. Now, this is collective humiliation for a people, which is caused by their actions, the way they've behaved. And that is simply because people tend to concentrate more on pleasing individuals or nations, human beings, rather than pleasing Allah. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, at one time someone said to him, it's not a big deal. It's just a small lie. Who will know this? And, just by telling this small lie, you will get away with whatever easily. The case against you will be terminated, and otherwise people will curse you and so on. And what a wonderful reply did Hazrat Sahib gave, which was that, do you want me to incur God's curse, God's ghadab, because I want to please people, or I want the people of this world not to curse me? He said, I can't do that. And that is the point, that when confronted with these things, then you do show where your heart really lies. Next word, azab. Let's see, what notes do I have for that? Right. And that its root is Ain Wal Ba, and it occurs in the Holy Quran 373 times with 5 different meanings, 5 different forms. So one is Awwaba, that's 41 times, but 322 times it occurs as a noun, Awwab, punishment, and then 4 times as Muazzib, and 4 times as Muazzabin, and twice as Awab, and it means to punish. وَيُؤَذِّبُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَاللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ, chapter 2, verse 284. He will punish. وَيُؤَذِّبُ فَأُؤَذِّبُهُمْ, then I will punish them. And that occurs. And then the noun Azabun Azim is a great punishment. Azabun alimun bima kanu yaksibun. Again, a punishment. It also means a torment. So, and it actually is quite interesting that its meaning, basic meaning is water, sweet water, drinkable water. And the context of the meanings of some of these roots is, of course, the conditions in Arabia. It's close to the equator and it's blazing hot. It's mostly sand, and the sun beats down. And during the day, as you travel on hot, burning sand, your eyes burn, etc. And what are you given comfort by? Even the thought, if you get it, it's so much the better. But even the thought of pleasant, sweet water that you can drink, or you can splash on your face and your head and so on, cool yourself down. But it also means difficulty that that occurs in your life, in the pleasantness of your life. And it also means an obstacle to achieving something. So we have sweet water which people use, and animals as well, use to drink and so on. And then if you get to that water and it has a film of rubbish on top, branches and rotting trees, rotting branches, and God knows what else in it, then that takes away the pleasure of drinking that sweet water. It's been polluted. And Uzbatan is actually the word for a tree that when what you may call it, camels eat, they die. So if we think about this and consider the situation where this word is used in the Holy Quran, you have two words which are used one against the other. You have muflihun. Who are these muflihun? Those who are successful. And we have azaban. And what's that? And that is those who are subject to difficulty, punishment. So they're opposite each other. I mean, another way to look at it is that this azab is also the word used to denote a punishment that a court hands down to someone. So what God is doing is dividing groups into two. Those who are muflihun, they are successful. How? Spiritually. They are successful. And what have they done? They have followed God's law. They have obeyed God's law. And you see, the thing is, you got to remember that God's law is not about a particular type of dress. That sari is somehow not Islamic, but a salwar kameez is Islamic, and this kind of thing. No. What God, what Allah, what Quran concentrate on is moderation and modesty. It doesn't matter what form it takes. Avoiding excess in anything. And if you do that, you will be successful. And if you don't, then of course you will be, punished. And you'll face humiliation and, one punishment is fear. You'll be afraid of things. And another type of azab is that, there is disunity among you. A family that is disunited, where people are fighting each other and so on, they're not going to succeed. They are not going to be muflihun, the successful ones. But a family that is together will be successful. So let me quickly do the last word, which is Maheen, and it occurs in its root is Ha Wa Noon, and it occurs 26 times in the Holy Quran, 14 times as Muhin and Muhin, and then 4 times as Hun, and then twice as Ahana, and then once as Horn and Mohan. And it has, again, 2 opposite sort of meanings. Basically, its meaning is gentleness, humbleness. That a person at some instance shows gentleness and humbleness. So in such a way that, he's not humiliating himself. He's not going around kissing people's feet and all this kind of thing. And that is praiseworthy. And that shows a kind of balanced attitude to life. The Holy Quran says, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ حَوْنًا, chapter 25, verse 63, that, those servants of Allah who walk on the ground, but in a balanced way. And the Holy Prophet himself said that, a true believer, it is gentle and kind. So this is, if you do it yourself. But if you're forced to do it, you're humble, not because your nature, by nature you are soft and gentle and humble, but because there is someone who is stronger than you, richer than you, harder than you, higher up in hierarchy, and suddenly in front of him you are very humble. And that is a humiliating punishment. فَالْيَوْمَ تَجْزَوْنَ عَذَابَ الْهُونِ, chapter 46, verse 20. So your punishment, your azab, is humiliation. And وَلِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ, as said here. And for the deniers, there is a humiliating abasement. And this is the same words are repeated, Azabum Muhin, 2 or 3 times in the Holy Quran. فَأُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ أَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ, chapter 22, verse 57, etc. So, with that, I think we've run over our time, and I take my leave of you with a prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum. Khuda Hafiz. Goodbye.